Joining us now, New York Times reporter and political analyst for MSNBC and NBC, Yamiche Alcindor. And we want to hear more, and you, Yamiche, have more. You were one of the first reporters to break the Omarosa story yesterday. We want to play for you what she told ABC News just moments ago.
I resigned, and I didn't do that in the residence as being reported. John Kelly and I sat down in the Situation Room, which is a very secure, very quiet room in the White House, and we had a very candid conversation. And I wanted to make the one-year mark. That was one of the goals that I set out to, and then get back to my life.
So you resigned, you weren't fired as it's being reported.
And you know, I like to hear all of these interesting tales, but I have to tell you that they're 100% false. There were a lot of things that I observed during the last year that I was very unhappy with, that I was very uncomfortable with, things that I observed, that I heard, that I listened to. I can expand upon it because I have to still go back and work with these individuals. But when I have a chance to tell my story, Michael, quite a story to tell. As the only African-American woman in this White House, as a senior staff and assistant to the president, I have seen things that have made me uncomfortable, that have upset me, that have affected me deeply and emotionally, that has affected my community and my people. And when I can tell my story, it is a profound story that I know the world will want to hear.
Yamiche, what is she alluding to?
Well, there are two things. It sounds from the sources that I've talked to, they've said that Omarosa was uncomfortable with several things, including President Trump's response to Charlottesville. That, if your viewers remember, it's when he said that there was violence on both sides. She was essentially pretty upset about that. But all my sources tell me that she was asked to leave, that she was actually fired, that this was someone who was, that she was getting under John Kelly's skin, and John Kelly was pretty mad at her because she was sending articles to President Trump, back channeling to him around the chief of staff. And as people know, John Kelly's really been trying to siphon off what information the president gets and trying to keep him focused. And Omarosa essentially was someone who I was told was trying to take that focus away. And as a result, she was asked to leave. And my sourcing does tell me that she was asked to leave and that she was escorted off of the White House grounds. Now, whether that was through Secret Service or security, my sources tell me that she was actually asked to leave. Now, I was not told that she was physically dragged, but I was told that she did not take it well, that she was very angry, and then as a result, they had to get other people involved.
So, Yamiche, the Secret Service put out a tweet yesterday saying it was not involved in the removal of Omarosa from White House grounds. Part of the reporting that we've heard elsewhere, though, was that she tried to enter the residence to speak to President Trump himself. What does your reporting tell you about that?
My reporting tells me that she did not try to enter the residence. That's not something that any of my sources have confirmed. But they have said that she was very angry, and that she was also very angry that she didn't have access to the president once John Kelly got into that new role.
So, I mean, I would think we would be able to find out on some sort of document or the way they track actions inside the White House, whether or not she's telling the truth or not. Yamiche, do you know anything about that?
I mean, I think that at this point now there needs to be more digging into whether or not there's any sort of public record into how this conversation went, and whether or not. But I think what's interesting about the Secret Service tweet is that while they said that they weren't physically involved in taking her off the grounds, they made sure to say that, well, her pass has been terminated, and that's a really interesting point to make because she's saying that she's going to be on until January 20th. My sources tell me that she's getting paid until January 20th, but that she's actually not working anymore, and as a result, she doesn't have the access that she needs to do her job. So I think it's very interesting to see her basically try to save face and say, you know, this is what I'm doing still. I'm still having to work with my colleagues, when in fact, my sources tell me that she's not working with the colleagues anymore. But I should tell you at the end of the day that Omarosa was not very liked by her colleagues. She was not very liked by other staff members. She was seen as someone who was a bomb thrower. She was seen as someone who was aggressive. So she has a lot of enemies in the White House who could be telling people stuff just because they don't really like her. And that's something that's very clear when interviewing people at the White House. So she could be in some ways saying, yes, I was not, I also didn't like this situation. And then when I talked to John Kelly and he brought to my attention the things that he didn't like about my job, I also expressed what I didn't like, and maybe they did come to a mutual understanding. But I should say my sourcing tells me that she was fired.
All right.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.